Meet Ian Mutwiri, a lawyer turned farmer. Mutwiri, 28 years old, quit the legal profession 3 years ago to take a plunge into commercial poultry farming. Ian opted to specialize in rearing indigenous chicken, popularly known as Kienyeji chicken.
Kienyeji chicken, in terms of feed consumption, they actually consume less than the exotics. And once they are consuming less, it means as a cost to the farmer, the cost is lower. If, for example, you had 100 Kienyeji chicken, you'll only need about 9.5 kgs of feed per day, the whole day. But if you had the exotic, for example, the layers or the broilers, you need at least 12 kgs of feed per day. 3 kgs, difference of 3 kgs per day is a huge difference, okay, in terms of feed cost.
He set up his farm on a quarter-acre piece of land with about 250 chickens. The bulk of his initial investment, he says, went into building shelter for the chickens.
If you're going to get a hotel, you cannot go having, let's say, 50 chicken, okay? Because that will not be sustainable to them. Now, the one thing that, we always advise people on housing, avoid, spending too much money on housing, because poultry business is not about housing. It is about feeding and how you take care of your chicken.
Although exotic breeds are highly productive in terms of eggs and meat, indigenous chicken breeds are tolerant to many diseases, which reduces the veterinary costs. Despite the fact that Kienyeji chicken takes slightly longer to mature, Ian says the cost of rearing the chicken is comparatively lower than it would cost to rear the exotic breeds.
And when you compare that, the products for the Kienyeji chicken in the market, their prices are higher as compared to the exotic. For instance, a Kienyeji chicken will go for a price of upwards from 600 shillings, as opposed to the exotic ones, which will go for 300, 400 maximum.
An egg from an indigenous hen retails at 15 shillings, 5 shillings more than that of an exotic layer breed. Experts say the profit margin from rearing 300 indigenous layer chicken within a 20-month period can be as high as 1.6 million shillings, compared with a profit of just 271,000 shillings from rearing the same number of exotic chicken layers. Poultry farming indeed can be lucrative, but one of the major factors that any farmer should consider when going into production of either indigenous or exotic chickens is the cost of production.
80% of the poultry business is all about feeding. Most of the money of the investment will actually go into feeding. And the other, of course, 20% goes to issues to do with diseases. So the 80% to do with feeding. How do you actually handle that? You have to make sure that the feed option that you're using is actually the lowest or the minimal that it can be, to make sure that you actually make some money out of your business.
Experts advise that the cheapest way to reduce the cost of feeding is to allow the chicken to go on free range, while at the same time providing supplementary feeds to keep them healthy and productive. Dennis Otieno, Smart Farm.